And now for something completely different.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinematic Relief. My name is Thunder.
I'm Lightning.
And I'm Monsoon.
We got Monsoon for this one
Woo!
because she also watched this movie.
I love
Yeah.
Ghibli.
Today, we're going to be talking about Earwig and the Witch. Sorry, I always expect there to be more to that title.
Right. I always think it's supposed to be Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is completely different than
okay.
Earwig and the Witch. So
So this movie struck a little bit of, I don't even want to call it controversy, but it struck
Discord.
a bit of discourse because it's in 3D.
Yes.
Yes.
Studio Ghibli has never broached the realm of 3D animation, and because this movie was rendered in 3D, it took a lot longer to be made, and a lot of people were like, "What? They can't, God, whatever." And we're gonna get into it.
I have a few things on that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So it didn't hinder my experience at all.
No,
yeah.
me either.
Yeah, me either.
I will say, though, I definitely only had a few moments that reminded me I was watching a Ghibli film. Ghibli kind of has a trademarked look to a lot of their films. You
Yeah.
can kind of tell right off the bat there a lot of work and time went into it. Not saying that it didn't for this one, but there were only a few shots that I was like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
I forgot. And the one that stands out to me the most right now is the ship. There's a quick shot at the beginning of the film
Yeah.
where they're looking out on the water and there's a ship there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the ship, the art style of how they did the ship was just very classic Ghibli for me. And yeah, besides that though, I mean, didn't hinder my experience. The animation was fine. Wasn't the classic animation, but I didn't expect it to be. One thing you mentioned, Anthony, that I kind of was gonna give them a pass on until you mentioned that they usually try to do it so it works. Is the lip syncing.
Yeah, it bothered me more than I thought it would that the lip flaps didn't match the voices, because I know that obviously this movie was in Japanese and now has English voices, but video games for the better part of the last I don't know, 5-10 years have been doing that. They've been getting footage of characters talking in Japanese, and then they've been writing a script around the voice flaps so that you as an American can match what you're saying close enough to the lip flaps of the character, even though they're technically saying a different word than you. And it was very, very obvious that they didn't do that in this one, which is fine. It doesn't need to be there, but it took me out of it only a little bit. I didn't mind it that much. I'm used to that at this point.
Yeah.
I think especially like this is the first time doing 3D animation. I think it's gonna be a little bit of a process to work on that, just because I've seen a couple of live action movies that have been dubbed in Japanese or vice versa, and obviously they're not gonna. I mean, for example, the Ragnarok
Yeah.
is spoken in. It's from a Norwegian company. They're all speaking Norwegian.
Yeah.
And the first time I started watching it, it was actually dubbed in English, and it took me out of it just
Yeah.
because it was so blatantly obvious that they weren't speaking in Norwegian. But I feel with animation, especially with 2D animation, the lip flaps aren't that detailed to the point where if they speak a different word, then you're not gonna really be bothered by it.
Right.
But with 3D animation, you're kind of getting to that
Right.
Yes,
accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's where the problem lies.
yeah.
And also I think I was looking through the cast list as well for this movie, just because I wanted to see who was in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't recognize any of the voices, and I feel these actors, they're not. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they have a lot of.
They're not seasoned.
They're not seasoned dub actors,
Right.
because you can tell when it's kind of a little bit choppy on their performance as well, because sometimes I felt like the words didn't necessarily match like the syncing of the lip flaps.
Right.
And that could be on their part, that could be on the editor's part, that could even be on the script adapter's part, just because like it also is their job to like make it so that the script the actors are able to take the script that they're given and like be able to match it to the flaps.
Yeah.
So I think it's like it was a good try on the first try.
Yeah.
It was a good attempt on their first try at 3D animation. I think there's room to be improved, but
Yeah.
not too bad.
And speaking of them improving next time, I hope that the internet's just flagrant hate of this movie isn't a deterrent for them to never do this again.
Right.
Oh, I know.
It was like
I will say
it
I
doesn't
did have
matter.
issues with the movie.
Right.
But it wasn't a perfect movie, but none of them were with the animation.
I definitely
Yeah.
want to get into the story because
Yeah, totally.
I've been dying to say this on this podcast for a while now.
Mhm.
You were saying it to me all the time when we watched it for the first time.
Every fiber of my being
Mhm.
wants to like this movie.
Oh my god, me too. No, I know exactly what you mean.
And I love the characters.
Uh-huh.
They didn't finish the
Right.
story for this film.
Right.
And that would not be an issue for me if I was under the assumption that there's potential for this to have a sequel.
Right.
But Ghibli's movies, as far as I know, have never
There's
had
only
a sequel.
there's only one. The Cat Returns
yeah,
is
that
a
was,
sequel to
The Whispers of the Heart.
yes.
Yes.
Cat
Okay.
Returns
And
is a Cat Returns
that
is
wasn't-
a
That
It-
wasn't even a sequel either. It was like a kind of spin-off kind of thing.
it was a sequel in the sense that it had the same main character, right?
No,
But-
it didn't have the same main character. It had like Whisper of the Heart. You see that character like as a statue in a shop for like 10 minutes,
okay.
and then they take that character and make him the main character
oh,
of Cat
okay.
Returns.
I was under the impression it was a direct sequel. Interesting. Okay, so you're right. No Ghibli movie has ever received a direct sequel. It's not
Wh-
really how they operate.
Sure.
But it's 3D animation is also not how they operate.
It-
So maybe
right,
this is
right.
a step in the
maybe this is their way of saying we're changing the script. We're going to do a sequel and it's going to be 3D animation, both of them. That could be the case. Nobody's announced that yet.
right.
I also don't need a sequel to be announced directly after the original.
Of course. Yeah.
My enjoyment of this film will skyrocket under the assumption that there's going to be another one.
Literally, this movie felt like Act 1 and Act 2.
Right. It
Of
felt
a
like an
3-act movie.
elongated Act 2
Yeah.
with no Act 3.
Right. Because it
They-
just sort of ends. It's just like the
Yeah.
thing you want to happen happens, and you're like, oh, can't wait to see what happens next, and then credits happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing is they finally got my attention. They've finally rounded these characters enough to where I'm invested, and then they end it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I get that.
The whole film is climaxing to me, seeing these characters, appreciating each one of them, wanting their story to be fulfilled, because everyone kind of has their own. Obviously, the Mandrake wants, to some degree, wants the band back together, or at least wants his love interest back in the picture.
Mm,
The Blue Witch is obviously has some jealousy
right.
and some devotion to the Mandrake. You want to see Earwig learn magic
Right.
and meet her mom,
Right.
and we don't get any of that. They tell us it's gonna happen.
Right.
They show us it's gonna happen, and then we don't get to see it.
And also, if I may, the cover of this movie,
It's
if
very
you will, doesn't.
yeah.
It's very misleading.
Yes.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah,
It just doesn't happen.
yeah.
It's once you watch the movie, you understand what the poster is, of course, but you're like, oh, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was really, and you actually mentioned this while we were watching it, Anthony. I watched it again after we watched it.
Yeah, I
by the
know.
way. Okay. You mentioned this halfway through the movie, and it's a good point. You're like, I thought this movie was about music,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it feels like
Her name is Earwig.
It feels like
Yeah.
Act 3 would
Is
be
gonna be
all
about music. Yes. Yeah.
Some of my favorite scenes in this movie. Well, my favorite scene in this movie is when we get the backstory and they're in his music room.
Yeah. That backstory scene. that went on for maybe like a
5
minute.
minutes.
But
yeah.
now that I know that the movie doesn't conclude, I feel like that backstory scene could have gone on for a half
Oh,
hour.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Also, I mean, speaking of that backstory scene and how it could have gone on, there's a fourth member of
Yeah,
the band
you were
here.
complaining about
Probably
this so
Earwig's
much.
dad. Probably.
Well, or is the Mandrake?
No,
I'm confused because
Yeah.
they clearly had a little thing
I'm
going
thinking
on.
that like the Red Witch was like very like flirty, and like the Mandrake had a crush on her, and then like when she left, he became like this kind of secluded, like don't bother me kind
Yeah.
of character.
All I'm saying is the character.
Isn't that the name of their song? Isn't it "Don't Bother Me" or something
yeah, it's
like
don't
that?
bother. Yeah,
All I'm
Good
saying
job.
is the
I think.
the hair colors of the band members are very distinct, and
True.
the fourth guy they don't introduce, his hair is brown,
Yeah.
and,
And
so,
is
is Earwig's.
Yeah, no, I
Because
definitely
her
get
mom
that
has
logic.
like
had
super
red
red
hair.
hair.
Yeah, but what do you get when you mix purple and red? Probably black. I don't know.
how colors work. Can I just mention something?
Yeah.
Sure.
I hate Earwig as a character.
Really?
She's like, oh my god, like
She is a little bratty.
she's like bratty, and like she's like one of those manipulative, like, oh, like I want them to like, if I don't get them to like do things my way, then I'm gonna make them. And like she has this like kind of like sweet innocent kind of facade, and then like you see her true colors behind the scene. I
she
hate
has
that.
she has a point there, and that never
Yeah.
changes. The movie literally ends
Right.
with her being like, "Well, fuck them. They all did what I wanted."
Yeah, and I hate that.
I think
I hate
the
that so much.
I think the impression it's supposed to give off, and they totally fail in this regard, but I think it's supposed to be like, this family is evil, and I'm gonna make them good.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then we
but
never
it-
got that.
Yeah.
I wanted to
It
drop.
really just felt like she manipulated the Mandrake into liking her, and therefore him being the
Right.
quote unquote
Yeah.
head of the household was like,
And then that
"We're all
got
gonna do what this little kid wants."
That being said, Pauline, who's a more annoying Ghibli protagonist, Earwig or Ponyo? Because I still argue
yeah.
that Ponyo is more annoying.
Sasuke.
Have you ever seen Ponyo?
Mhm.
Him.
For anyone who hasn't seen Ponyo, this is the whole movie. This is 3/4 of the movie.
Oh,
Like
do you
what
want
I
her to
said.
do it again?
That's just what Ponyo does the
did
whole
you
movie.
not hear me?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
She did it pretty good.
Sasuke. Him.
Yeah. That's the whole movie.
I want to see Sasuke.
That's the whole movie. That's the whole movie.
I still
And
want.
then the town floods.
I still wanted to drop kick Earwig so hard.
Oh my god,
I did not like
she's
her.
a child.
Yeah, a fictional child. Still, I feel like
Wait, no, stop. The fact that she is fictional doesn't make your want to drop kick her any less or more immoral.
I mean, still, I know. I mean, obviously, I can't do that, but like, it just wanted to like. I just did not like her as a character.
Also, there
Um,
were some cool concepts they introduced and then did not go any further
Yeah.
into them. Like the house has got some Harry Potter staircase
Yeah.
shit going on.
And
Hogwarts staircase shit going on. And they didn't delve too deep into that.
Right.
Also, the car has got some cool magic stuff going on. They introduced literally in the opening scene of this film when she's riding off with a baby Earwig
Yeah.
in on her motorcycle, and the car's grill just like nom, 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 nom.
And they mentioned how she's being chased by like 12 witches.
Yeah.
Where are these witches?
Oh yeah,
That was some lore that made
that
no
that never
difference in the
brought
film.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It-
that hit me a little harder having been writing lore for our story, where I'm like, well, you made it. Can you explain it a bit more?
Yeah.
I wonder what happened. It wasn't until you brought up the lore that I totally forgot about that. It just makes me feel like this movie was supposed to. If it came out that this movie was supposed to be 4 hours long and this is only part of it, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's like a
because
Kill
that-
Bill situation.
It wasn't like, you're right. They introduced the lore, and the way they introduce it is they write it on the paper that the orphanage lady reads out to us, the audience, and you're like, oh, that's probably important, and then it
Then
wasn't,
they bring it up
Right.
again.
and then they do in fact bring it up again. But so like the backbone of the plot is that these people are witches, but they're also in a band, and
Which is a badass concept.
one of them, yes, that's really cool, and one of them had a kid who knows who the dad is, but because she had a kid, or
It's
maybe
guitarist
while she
number
was
2,
having a
unnamed.
kid, that she like got in trouble with the rest of the witches.
Well, I think
Right.
she got in trouble because she had a kid.
Yeah,
That's see, it's so left up to interpretation that
yeah.
we don't even know why she's in trouble. I just assumed
I feel like
it was 'cause
yeah,
of
I
Earwig.
feel like there could be
Like the-
I feel like there could be a whole like the witches aren't coming for me, they're coming for you because they hate the kid thing.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot that I think.
This movie is based off a book, and I really want to get my hands on the book to see if whether or not like I can figure out like what is supposed to
I
happen.
wonder how.
I'm
But
sure
then,
there's
like-
more to the book.
But the thing
than
is,
we
like
Yeah.
would,
this movie was directed by Goro Miyazaki, who is the son
Yeah.
of Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah.
I feel like he's. I mean, obviously, this is like a legacy thing, and I don't want to like keep putting pressure on this kind of thing. But like, I feel like he's like recently, like with the movies that he's made, I feel like he kind of struggles with direction in a sense. I don't know if like this kind of like situation where like the movie feels like it didn't end properly was his fault or like the script writer's fault. But like,
Mm.
for example, like Up a Puppy
I mean,
Hill-
or the animators. Maybe
the
the
animator's
fact that
fault.
this movie was no, I'm being serious. Maybe the fact that this movie was in 3D, they were like, we can't make it any longer than
right,
this.
true.
We, you know,
But like,
That's
I don't
a
know
good
who they
point.
got to animate this movie. It looks like the same production team who animated that loop in the third movie.
oh, right, yeah.
That everyone seemed to like.
But like, he, how would I put this? He directed Up a Puppy Hill, and I like that movie. But he like put some like concepts in there that are like questionable, and then like it feels like the ending is like rushed in that movie. And then I think he also directed Tales of Undersea, which was actually
You love playing with that USB. huh?
Sorry, I just want to play with something.
which was sorry, Tales of
Sorry, I
Undersea.
didn't-
Yeah, Tales of Undersea was Ghibli's like worst rated film.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah,
even-
I've never even heard of it.
Even the author Ursula Le Guin didn't like that movie because she was very disappointed about how it came out. So like I feel like I mean, I know that it's hard having like a parent like Hayao Miyazaki. Like he's like he's like the director for Ghibli movies. He directed
Yeah.
Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, like the big name Ghibli movies. And then like his movies aren't seeing that much success. On top of this being the first 3D animated Ghibli
Right.
film, and like people are already hate it because like it's not traditionally the 2D animated style. I don't know.
Which is dumb.
which is not
Yeah.
fair. But like I don't know, like I feel like he's trying super hard, but like circumstances are just not giving him a fair shake. And like I don't know if, like I said before, I don't know if it's his fault that the movie ended this way or like it was script writers, animators, whoever. I just feel like if this movie had been longer, I feel like this would have been a really good success for him. But
Yeah.
like I feel like because of how it ended, it's still gonna be another hindrance to
Yeah.
him getting like really, really successfully being able to direct a really good movie.
So I
So.
just to add to the conversation, I just googled the Earwig and the Witch sequel, and it says, as for a sequel, the producers haven't made any official statement on the subject yet. Since it was founded in June of 1985, Studio Ghibli has never produced a sequel.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we'll have
Uh,
to see.
Another plot point that gets potential plot point that gets brushed under the covers is do they know that's her daughter? Or
Also
is it
that.
completely
Right.
coincidental that they picked her up? It never gets touched upon.
Right.
I think
you-
it's like purely. It has to be pure. Oh my god, purely coincidental. Because like they're literally like in the orphanage and like your Baba like literally needs like another pair of hands, and she's like, oh yeah, this one will do.
But
like,
they
pointed out
followed her
random.
mother for miles.
But
Mm.
they don't know
appeared.
that she has a. I don't think they ever saw the baby.
Or,
Honestly.
or is that why they're chasing her? What I'm saying is we don't know,
Right.
Yeah.
and they didn't make it clear.
I don't.
There are a lot of loose
No.
ends that need to be tied up, and I don't know if we'll ever get them
They.
tied.
I don't think they will. Yeah. They. I don't know. It was. Chris put it a good way. I want to like this movie, but I'm just sitting here not appreciating what I was given
Right.
because you got me, but then you lost me when the movie just ended.
Right.
Well, it's not even that they lost you; they just tossed you aside.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got your interest, and then they were like, and then it was over.
Yeah.
I feel like this. I mean, it was a decent movie. I don't think it's Ghibli's strongest movie. It's not.
I don't think
definitely
I don't
not.
think it's a strong movie because it didn't end.
You're right.
True.
Right.
The movie seems unfinished.
Can I quickly, just because it seems like we're wrapping up on our thoughts
Yeah.
on the film, if I could just pull the conversation a different way, entirely. I saw, or I was listening to somebody, John Cleese, as a matter of fact, talk about movie critics.
Okay.
And something I don't think we talk about enough on this podcast is, just for the listeners and just to have it on record, we don't consider ourselves movie critics, and we don't, as you hear in our If We Made, we're not claiming we could do any better than the movie makers themselves.
Right.
We're simply, it's almost like a book club. We're just simply talking about our thoughts and feelings on the movie, and our thoughts and feelings should kind of in no way deter you from going to see a movie. You should experience it yourself and have your own opinion, as we try to.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we were all entertained by it. The 3D animation is wonderful, as Studio Ghibli animation is wonderful. It just execution could have been better in the storytelling department, I should say.
You want that good?
Let's see what Mr. Ebert has to say about Ghibli.
So yes, in the couldn't pass up an opportunity because in the past, whenever we look at a children's movie, whether it's fucking Pokemon or fucking Spy Kids, he always Finding Nemo. He always compares it to a Ghibli film.
Yes.
What
does he have to say?
What does he have to say about a Ghibli film?
What could he compare a Ghibli film to?
Right. Well, you'll see.
Because he must compare.
He always compares, yes. So I've pulled up, and I discussed it with you too, but I've pulled up the review, Roger Ebert's review from June of 2005 for Howl's Moving Castle.
Also based on a book.
And the review is titled Castle, Nothing to Howl About.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
How many stars do you think?
Oh, based on that title.
I shouldn't have given the title before the stars.
So
I agree.
It has to be 4.
I'm going to say 4? Did you just say 4?
It's Ebert.
4 is the max.
That's
what
I mean.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to say 1.
2.5.
Well, okay. Don't have a title like that and then give it more than half of your credits.
Excuse me?
Almost the first sight we see in Howl's Moving Castle is the castle is... sorry, I did a weird zoom in. Is the castle itself, which looks as if it were hammered together in... By the way, this one's super short, so I'm going to read the whole thing.
Sure.
Hammered together in shop class by wizard inspired by the lumbering elephantine war machines of The Empire Strikes Back. So Star Wars is what he compares it to.
Children movies compared to Ghibli, Ghibli movies compared to Star Wars. Interesting.
The castle is an amazing visual invention, a vast collection of turrets and annexes, protuberances, and afterthoughts, which makes its way across the landscape like a turtle in search of a rumble. I settled back in my seat, confident that Japan's Hayao Miyazaki had once again created his particular kind of animated magic, and that the movie would deserve comparison with Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service, and the other treasures of the most creative animator in history of the art form.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Because, sorry, you went over the edge, and I was going to say something before you went over.
No, you're good.
You cannot critique a film without first comparing it
to its predecessors.
To anything.
Yes,
to
of
anything.
course.
To, a live-action movie that came out 20 years before it.
So he went off the rails. He was like, well, this is a Ghibli film. I'm going to mention every other Ghibli film. He says that Hayao Miyazaki is the most creative animator in the history of the art form.
That's a strong...
Yeah.
It's a strong statement. He's definitely one of them.
But it was not to be. While the movie contains delights and inventions without pause and has undeniable charm, while it is always wonderful to watch, while it has the Miyazaki visual wonderment, it's a disappointment compared to his recent work.
Wow.
Adapted from a British novel by Diana Wynne-Jones, it resides itself between The Brothers Grimm and The Wizard of Oz. with shape-shifting that includes not merely beings but also objects and places.
So?
Exactly, Pauline. Chief among the shapeshifters is the castle itself, which can bless you, which can swell with power and then shrivel in defeat. Inside the castle are spaces that can change on whim, and a room with a door that opens to, well, wherever it needs to.
Is he
Not
just gonna
true.
keep talking about the freaking interior of this castle?
The castle roams the wastelands outside two warring kingdoms, which seem vaguely 19th century European. It is controlled by Howell himself, a young wizard much in demand, but bedeviled with personal issues. The story.
The story.
And then he talks about the story. How just
When you
for
read
the
the
rest-
title, for the record, when you read that title, I totally misinterpreted it in my head.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
no worries.
I would have guessed a lower star rating.
Oh yeah, he was shitting on it from the title.
Yeah.
He talks about the characters a lot. He compares the main character
Sophie.
to the the grandmother from the Red Riding Hood for some reason.
Okay.
I hope
Oh wow, he talks about the plot for a long time.
I hope Ebert gives every single studio whose movies he critiques an extra movie ticket price. I mean, extra money equal to an extra movie ticket, because he tells all of his audience the entire plots of these films
Oh, I know.
while they're in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah, he literally 3 paragraphs in the plot this time. All of this is presented as only Miyazaki can in animation of astounding invention and detail. The castle itself threatens to upstage everything else that happens in the movie, and notice the way its protuberances move in time with its lumbering progress, not neglecting the there's a gun turret and he's comparing it to a butthole. But the
awesome.
word he uses is sphincteresque,
Oh, okay.
which is not a real word.
I
no.
hate that.
It's a
that's
good band
that's
name.
that's what
No.
stopped me. No, it is a good band name. Fuck you. Not neglecting the sphincteresque gun turret at the rear. Sophie, old or young, never quite seems to understand and inhabit this world. Unlike Kiki of the delivery service or Chihiro, the heroine of Spirited Away, she seems more witness than heroine. A parade of weird characters comes on stage to do their turn, but the underlying plot grows murky, and amazingly for a Miyazaki film, we grow impatient. We grow impatient at spectacle without meaning. I can't recommend the film, and yet I know if you admire Miyazaki as much as I do, you'll want to see it anyways. When his movies are working, and on those rare occasions when they are not, Miyazaki nevertheless is a master who frame by frame creates animated compositions of wonderment. Pete Docter and John Lasseter, his great American supporters, have supervised the English dubbing. Online anime sites say, however, the Japanese voices are more in character, and in parentheses, we'll be able to compare on the DVD. In the meantime, the big screen is the only way to appreciate the remarkable detail of the castle, which becomes one of the great unique places in the movie. Really, he just
wanted to talk about
Yeah.
the
He
just
castle.
wanted to talk about how cool the castle looked, I guess.
How cool and dumb. He was like, this part was cool. This part was dumb. I hated it.
So that was that. He didn't love it.
He definitely has a boy crush on
Man
Miyazaki,
crush.
though.
To give
I
you
mean-
a
No, what boy crush? I said what I said.
to give you a good frame of reference, he gave Mononoke, Spirited Away, and Ponyo a 4 out of 4, and he
Yeah.
gave From Up
You
on
gave
Poppy Hill.
Ponyo.
He gave From Up on Poppy Hill a 2.5, just like Howl's Moving Castle.
Interesting.
I guarantee you, in his mind, he sat down. I'm sure he hated Howl's Moving Castle for one reason or another. I mean, it's a good movie.
We'll
but-
never know because he
Right.
didn't tell us.
Yeah,
about
he didn't.
why.
He didn't critique the film. That's for sure. But I guarantee you, in his mind, he goes down to write the review. He writes the shitty title. He's like, "Fuck this movie," and then he looks at his picture of Miyazaki, his framed picture next to his
signed picture.
yeah, and then he stops himself and he's like, 2.5. Like he won't give him a lower rating.
The castle was cool. Here's the entire plot.
Jeez.
What
for
a
all
strong title.
for
he
all
gave
the
that.
for all the ish he talks, for all the comparisons to My Neighbor Totoro, he doesn't got a fucking review of it.
No,
That's the irony.
he almost never does. He compares, he shits on, and he
No, I'm
leaves
saying
it.
he literally doesn't have a review of My Neighbor Totoro that we could go look up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Howl's Moving Castle.
No, I just read basically every Ghibli review
Right.
that he's
Right.
done, and My Neighbor Totoro isn't one of them. My Neighbor Totoro is like the go-to, where he's like, well, this animated movie will never be like the perfect, untouchable masterpiece, My Neighbor Totoro. And he never fucking did a review of it.
That's not. I mean,
That's
it's
ironic.
up to your own personal opinion. That's not the best Ghibli movie.
I
know you don't like
I
it.
dislike My Neighbor
Yeah.
Totoro.
And that's an unpopular opinion.
I
and it's- and
realize
it's
that.
okay, and it's okay
It's
to be your
cute.
opinion. It's not the best one.
No, it's
Even
definitely-
if you
It
think
has
it's
to
a
be
good
Spirited
movie,
Away.
That's mine.
See, I'm right there with you. You say Spirited Away is the best one, and I'm like, that tracks for me. My favorite one is Castle in the Sky. I know that's also an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
No, the Castle Inside is pretty good.
I
think-
really like Castle in the Sky. It is long. I'll say that. It's really long, but
It kind of drags for me.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that being
the
your
villain
favorite.
is Mark Hamill, the end.
Yes.
But is it Mark Hamill in Japanese?
No.
Dude, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be something?
That would be
Pauline
something.
took it seriously. She was like,
She's like, no, idiot. Of course it's not Mark
There's a-
Hamill in Japanese.
There's a thing called
Talking about-
seiyus in Japan. No. For me, it's Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away.
well,
And Princess Mononoke.
See, I like Howl's Moving Castle. I didn't like it as much as I remember when I watched Howl's Moving Castle. I went into this was a while ago, so I went into the lounge at school, and it was like Monday. I was like, "Oh, I watched Howl's Moving Castle this week," and the guy sitting next to me was like, "Wasn't it great?" And I was like, "Oh no, it was good." I don't know if I had the otherworldly experience that you did watching this movie. It was fine. You get to hear Christian Bale do the Batman voice a couple years early. But yeah, I don't know. I like Castle in the Sky. I haven't seen them all. It's something I want to do
I've seen
someday.
most of them. They're all on.
They're all on HBO, which
yeah,
is
which
cool,
is good,
which makes
yeah.
them way more easy. I was trying to tell my dad because my dad, for whatever reason, watched Earwig and the Witch, and he was like, "Yeah, I liked it." I was like, "Have you seen another Ghibli film?" He was like, "No." I was like, "Watch Howl's Moving Castle.
Or
You'll really
watch
like
Spirited
it."
Away.
I told him that if he, because I know my dad and the type of movies that'll keep his interest.
Oh yeah.
If he likes Howl's Moving Castle, I told him to go to Kiki's Delivery Service next.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then from
that's a
there, I
good
think
one.
from there he could move on to the more popular ones like
Yeah.
Mononoke and Spirited Away.
Right.
Because they're all good, all four of the movies I just mentioned. But I think my dad would like Howl and Kiki more than the other stuff.
A story I have not told either of you to.
Ooh.
Ooh. I had the VHS of Spirited Away.
Okay.
Mhm.
That was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid.
Okay.
I had not seen another Ghibli movie besides that as a kid
Right.
until
You actually, yeah. Sorry.
until my family was like, well, he likes that imported shit. Get him another one. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They didn't say that, Pauline. I was just kidding. But so somehow, one way or another, Castle in the I want to say Clouds.
Castle in the Sky.
There's a mansion in New Hampshire called Castle in the Clouds. That's why I always get them.
There's also a song in Les Mis called Castle in the Clouds. The one that she's singing.
It didn't hold my attention as a kid.
Oh, I'm sure it didn't.
So that ended my experience with Ghibli films as a child, and I really wish it didn't, because I'm sure I would have had a different and probably better experience watching some of these as a kid. I still like them, but there's an awe, there's something about the nostalgic feeling of watching a movie you liked as a kid that
Yeah.
I don't relate to with Ghibli movies really. But
Right. Well, me either.
yeah, but my experience is now with you
Yeah.
and you. We both watched the Ghibli movies, but I've been
Uh-huh.
watching a lot with you.
My first experience with Ghibli was Spirited Away, so I'm kind of spoiled for that.
Oh,
yeah,
me too.
I also watched Spirited Away as a kid, and then no other Ghibli films until I was an adult.
Was that a thing? Did they just not come over here?
I think
Except
that was
that
just.
one.
I think that was just the most popular one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that was the
No,
one that Disney knew was gonna.
you know what happened?
Do good.
It's
and
it was that, and also it won. It's the only anime film that had that. Wow, it's the only anime film that has ever won an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
So that's their.
Did it win an Oscar
Whatever.
for
It won a
animation?
best animated
Got it,
animated
cool.
feature.
It deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it did.
I don't know what year it came out.
Right, me either.
2002.
But I'm sure it.
2002.
Okay. Now list all the other animated movies that came out that year.
What else was there?
That was a joke. You don't have to do that.
Shrek?
No, Shrek actually won best animated feature before that, and then that was the first. They actually made the category best animated feature because of Shrek.
Oh my God.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, you know what? You know what happened? So you know how Beauty and the Beast came out
Pauline?
in like
Pauline?
I'm just saying. Let me finish. Beauty and the Beast came out in like 98, right?
Mhm.
And then it became nominated for
won
best picture.
It won Best Picture, didn't it? Or it was
No,
just,
it was
just
nominated. And then
Yeah.
then
She's
they
so
were
confident, I believe her.
it was nominated for best picture, and then that's the time when they were like, oh, like let's make a whole nother category for best animated feature. And then you got Shrek and Jimmy Neutron, who got nominated for best animated feature, and the rest is history. So
That's really interesting. But animated movies had been out since the 40s. Toy Story came out in 1994. Fuck you guys for not making one for Toy Story.
so yeah. I'm sure I'm wondering if they're gonna keep going with the 3D animation and forgo 2D, because that's what several anime studios have been doing. I doubt they will. But we'll
There's
just see how it goes.
there's just such a legacy behind Ghibli and 2D animation. I don't think they'll get rid of it, but I think, assuming this movie didn't deter them, they'll probably start making more movies in 3D animation.
But at the same time, if they see the hate that they got for the 3D animation of this, and they're like, absolutely never again, but then they make Earwig and the Witch 2 and it's 2D, I think I would sit a little weird with me.
Right, yeah.
Me too, for sure. I don't think this might sound blasphemous. I don't think I would have appreciated this movie as much as I did had it been in 2D animation.
I'm not gonna go that far.
Yeah. I can kind of see where it could transition to 2D, but I see this as a full-on 3D animation, 3D animated feature that couldn't have been made any other way.
Well, that's what I just said.
I'm sorry.
What's the point you're trying to
Sorry, I could see it being I could see them going in either direction. They could. I mean, they chose to animate it in 3D, but I can also see them animating this in 2D. So I'm glad that they went but I'm happy that they chose to do something different and go down the 3D animated route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that the internet being shitty about the release of this 3D animated movie before and after it came out, because hate the movie if you didn't like it, but don't hate it because it was in 3D.
Right.
I hope it doesn't deter. If this was step one and they were like, all right, the 3D from this point on, I hope
Yeah.
that they still do whatever they wanted to do. Also, it took me so long to look it up, but Beauty and the Beast won the Academy Award for Best Original Song and Best Original Score. It was nominated for Best Picture and Best Sound.
Yeah.
The end. That was
Okay.
not important whatsoever.
Does that just about do it?
Oh yeah, I think that does it. This will probably go up next. I don't think the Scoob episode has been released yet.
I don't think the Scoob episode needs to go up.
It will though. We recorded it.
Fair enough.
So join us next time for Scoob, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, that was Earwig and the Witch. I liked it. I feel like I shouldn't because it was unfinished. And until next time, I've been Thunder.
I'm Lightning.
I'm on soon.
Stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you next time.